Hello and welcome to the Vertical Slice on Kotaku.com. I'm Tim Rogers and I'm hosting this, whatever it is. Well, I actually know what it is. This is a show where we take what I consider to be a portion of the game that epitomizes the whole experience. Vertical Slice is a video game industry term referring to a game as a sort of a layered cake. Imagine you have a cake with icing and sprinkles and icing and one layer of chocolate, one layer of vanilla, and a different flavor of icing between each one. So a vertical slice is you try to get a little bit of each layer of that cake in the thinnest slice possible. And this is something that in the modern video game industry, AAA developers, they obsess over this vertical slice, this experience that's going to have everything. So usually when you play, for example, the demo of a AAA game, that will be what the developers had considered the vertical slice of the game. So you'll sometimes encounter people who say, oh, I played the demo of this game, and then I bought it, and the rest of the game wasn't as good as the demo. And it's usually because the demo is the vertical slice that was all the stuff prioritized. So when I say layers of the cake, I say if the game has crafting, if it has stealth, if it has a sniper rifle, and it has a knife, it has all these things, it's going to make you do a little bit of each of those things in something of a linear fashion. So when people say the demo was the best part of the game, that's interesting. I can get behind that sometimes. I can say that makes sense. However, what if a whole game was like the demo? Maybe that's a terrible question to ask. Let's try to ask that question in a different way. What if a whole game was good? What if we study the best parts of video games? So, today, I have a special guest. Do you want to introduce yourself, special guest?
Hi, I'm GrandPOOBear.
Yeah.
I'm a speedrunner.
You're a speedrunner. So you know all about every layer of the cake of a video game.
I think when you speedrun, you kind of not just get that vertical slice, but you also want to know about the ingredients inside of a game too. So
you want
to keep the analogy rolling.
You want to keep that cake fresh, and you also want to keep that slice as skinny as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna see what we consider, what I personally consider. I asked on Twitter. I asked people to tell me what they consider to be a game that has an excellent first 10 minutes. And the whole idea was I wanted to do this show. I wanted to take the first 10 minutes of a game and then have good video footage of it, annotate that footage, and go through it with someone who knows it well. So we picked this game, The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past.
Pretty good game. Might have heard of it.
Pretty darn good game. This game freaked me out when I first played it because it was so good. So it says 1991, 1992. I just want to point out, this was before video games had release dates. So I knew this game was coming out, but I didn't know when. So every weekend when my family went to the mall, I would go into the store, Electronics Boutique, before it was EB Games.
EB.
Yeah. back when calling it EB made you feel cool because you thought you'd thought of it. I would go into EB or Babbage's or GameStop or Software Etc. or Funko.
Oh, wow. Software Etc.
Yeah, man, Software Etc. I worked at a Software Etc. In college. Right up until the moment it became a GameStop. So you would go into the store and then you would just look at the shelf and just look at it, because I'm not going to talk to the guy who works there, right? I'm not going to go up and say, because I'm 12 years old at this time, I'm not going to be excuse me, sir, is there the Zelda? Right? I'm not going to do that. So, one day, I walked into the mall, the Glen Burnie Mall in Glen Burnie, Maryland, in United States of America, and there was that box. That box art that was on the back of the Super Nintendo package that we got for Christmas. That box art that was in Nintendo Power. And it was just sitting there. And I was like, whoa. It was I just thought I would never see it. and I pick it up and I take it up to the counter because, fun fact, I just didn't talk back then. I didn't.
I find that interesting because you're so eloquent now.
It's all about the extended period of pre-consideration for the words I'm eventually going to speak. So I put it down on the counter, and I hear the thing that the guy at the counter would always say in these cases, which is, "You don't have to take the box up here. That we've got the games back here, man. This is an empty box. This is an empty box." And then he gave me the game, and I had my sweaty bills. Like I removed this gum wad of sweaty bills from my sweatpants pocket, and I was like, "Here you go." Except I didn't say that. I just flopped them down on the counter, and that's how I got Zelda: Link to the Past. What was your first experience?
Okay, so
Zelda?
I am slightly younger than you, although
Mhm.
still very old. And Zelda though, see, I got the Super Nintendo in Christmas of '91.
Oh yeah.
And what's funny about that is I waited in line with my dad, but then they made me wait for Christmas to get it.
Oh
But
yeah.
anyway, yeah, so I had Super Mario World for a long time, and then I actually went to one of my friend's house, and he had Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. And before this, like every NES game, like just kind of existed in my life. Like
Yeah.
I don't remember any of them coming out. They just kind of all were there at one point in my life. And then we got the Super Nintendo. I played Super Mario World for probably like 3 straight months and didn't need another game. That was like all I wanted or all I could ever need.
Yeah.
And Pilot Wings. And but yeah, I went to a buddy's house and he actually had A Link to the Past, and that whole trip did not become about hanging out with my friend after that. It became about trying to rescue Princess Zelda, much to his chagrin. And we weren't friends much longer after that, but I learned to get my own copy of the game.
Man.
Beg my parents.
So that's like almost exactly my story, except, I mean, I bought the game myself, but I had that period of 3 months where I had nothing but Super Mario World. And so I did not have Pilot Wings. I only had Super Mario World.
Oh.
And the video store on the Army base, Fort Meade, Maryland, is where I lived at that time. The video store on the Army base only rented out NES games. And I had like this gray area period of like 3 months in my life where I didn't want to touch any NES games. I only wanted Super Nintendo games.
No, I get that. Like when you get a shiny new console, even today when I get a shiny new console, I want to play games on that console. Like I hate when I fire up my Wii U now to play Mario Maker.
I put my PS3 in a box in the closet. like I unplugged it when I got my PS4. And then I would sit there being like, "Oh man, I want to play." I was like, "I want to play God Hand," because I had God Hand on my PS3. I'm like, maybe I'll play it later. So that's how that goes. So I like what you did with your player select there. You said hello to me. That's good.
Yes.
This is gonna make Link's uncle.
Quick thing though,
yeah.
The American version lets you put in more characters than the Japanese version.
Oh,
Japanese version you can only put in 4 characters.
You can only put in up to 4. So you can just barely. Well, you can spell Zelda with 3 letters in Japanese, but you can't spell Zelda in English.
No.
Help me.
You can say a lot of other good 4-letter words though.
Oh yeah, that's all you really need. 4 letters was enough for most children. You remember the game Secret of Evermore? One of the greatest games of all time. I'm not saying that sarcastically for anybody who's listening. I love that game. You know how you have like 16 letters to name yourself, and then you can get punished later in the game for having a profanity there. Hi, I'm going out for a while. I love that. That's a pretty good touch. He just looks over and says hello.
A good setup.
Yeah, very good. It's you know what that is? That's wholesome humor. That's the wholesome humor that your fans tune in for. Right?
I'm very curious though, right here. When Zelda's talking telepathically, which that's how it starts off. Zelda's talking telepathically. Do Link and the uncle hear it? Is it like being broadcast throughout their house?
So I actually think that they do.
Yeah.
Because given
it's just a family thing?
Yeah, every Zelda game is about how Link is like the descendant of some hero, right? So This is like the first time we've had like Link with an actual relative, like a person who is of his bloodline. And later the uncle is going to refer to our family, right? So Link is always like a legendary hero descended from some line of heroes or whatever. And it's, I feel like they must both be hearing it. Because Zelda didn't call you by name. She said, I'm in the dungeon of the castle. And he's just sitting there awake at his table, sitting on a tree stump with a sword in hand, being like, just like ready to go. So, you get the lamp. Now you can light torches and see your way in darkness. And the game doesn't give you any magic power. And you have 3 hearts in these pots. So right now, we're going to go ahead and you did a lot of fun with the saves here. So you're going to just not get the lantern because you're going to be demonstrating something later with that. So we got outside Link's house. So this is what the first overworld part you're introduced to in the game is you come outside and it's raining. Okay. And there's 2 ways to go down to the dirt path. You can either jump or you can walk down this ramp, right? So I like this because where you're supposed to go is up there. You're not but you have to start by going down. So the very first thing the game, well, you don't have to start by going down. You can go around, but you're not going to do that. So if you start walking around and wandering around this world, you're going to talk to this guy, right? I love this guy because he like the game right away is telling you that you're a child, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's kind of a Zelda thing, isn't it? To make
it explains your smaller stature. It ups the ante, I want to say, on the storyline.
Yeah. It makes you feel like it makes you more eager to see the development of a character.
It also explains why you should be in bed right now.
Yeah. You should be in bed. It's dark. It's raining. So it's already dark and it's raining and your uncle told you to stay home. Yet. And now this guy's telling you you're a kid and that you can stay up when you're grown up. So the game is doing all this stuff to make you feel weak, insignificant, immature, childish, and unimportant. And it's just so that guy was just mean. But these next guys, I like this because now the game is going to start. It's going to start being encouraging to you because by the end of a Zelda game, you're going to feel really, really strong and cool. You're going to have 20 hearts instead of 3, and your guy's going to look different. He's going to have a big, giant shield. So these guys are like, oh, I see you brought a map. So that's like an example of something that I like to see in video games where it's encouraging you to look at the entire world map before the story even permits you to go anywhere. And so
I also think this does a really good job too to kind of be like a whoa moment, like whoa, this is a pretty big world.
Yeah,
especially at the time, this map felt huge.
Yeah, it feels huge, but also looking at it here, this is like a very interesting in-game world map because you can see the individual houses in the city. The only thing you can't see in detail is the forest where the Master Sword is. You can see almost every turn, every passage on the rest of the map. So not only are you seeing a big world, you're seeing a very honest representation of it. So I think that was very impactful. So I mean, when you first played the game, when you first got it, or when you first went to your friend's house and played it, did you go around and talk to these guards, or was your friend already playing the game?
Oh yeah, no, I talked to everybody when I first played the game. I talked to every single person I could the first time I played. I think it took me probably like an hour just to get to my uncle, honestly, when I first played the game.
Oh, because you're just going around and poking at everything.
Just going around, yeah, I was just lost.
I had a very similar experience. So what I like about this guard is this is like something that happens in games I really like when someone tells you about something you can already do, but you didn't know about it. So he's like, I see you brought a map with you. Press the X button to look at it. It's like, we never learn where Link got this map. And it doesn't matter because it's brought up in like a human conversation between the guard and Link. So I love that. So yeah, when I first played this game, I went everywhere and looked at everybody and talked to everybody. And here we see, so what this game is doing, again, I mean, yeah, we're hitting a lot of pauses here all the way in the beginning. What the game is doing is the tutorial is contextualized in these guards. So this guard is like, you look strong for a kid. How much can you lift? And then he tells you how to lift. It's like he's phrasing it as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So the game is perhaps correctly assuming that if you're the kind of person to walk around and poke around, that you are interested in what the controls are. Is that like what it is?
Yeah, and it's introducing it in a much more natural way rather than just like if you walked up to a bush and then some magic
something
voice
jumped
from
out.
above. Yeah, exactly. Some silly voice from above. This is a much more natural way.
Yeah.
And of course they put a bush right there so you can try it out immediately,
And if by some chance you picked it up before talking to that guard, you already know what to do.
You would have felt, and then you would have been like, stupid guard.
You're like, yeah, you idiot. I know how much I can
know
lift.
this.
And it's like, because you don't have a sword at that point. There's no other way to interact with the bush. So I want to point out here in the Japanese version, he doesn't say he's going to give 100 rupees to the man who finds the descendants of the wise men. He says, I will give 100 rupees to any people finding the descendants of the wise men. So in other words, many parcels of 100 rupees. He's not giving exactly 100 rupees to one man who is finding all of the descendants of the wise men at once. So that's maybe my last Japanese language note for this version of the game. The translation is otherwise, very good. Nintendo localizations were always good. Picking up another bush. Giving that bush what for. So we talk a lot about like the castle in Mario 64, Peach's castle. But Nintendo games have always had this tradition of having like a zone, like a fun zone for you to chill in. Oh, you see this pile of rocks very early? When you first played the game, did you wonder what that pile of rocks was?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
It's like, and I mean, this is like a Miyamoto thing. And I know Miyamoto is here we have to point out that you're a speedrunner, however, we're not speedrunning here.
We're trying to show off how special this early part is.
Yeah, how Zelda will telepathically retutorialize Link if we jerk around too long, like right here.
Yeah.
So again, she doesn't say your name. She does not say your name. So she is talking to your uncle, your uncle dad instead. Your uncle might not actually be your uncle. I mean, who knows? He looks.
I think
he's probably blood related.
Yeah, maybe by marriage.
Different hair color. He's got that swarthy beard.
Yeah.
So I like this tutorial because it's not condescending. It's consistent with the fiction of the story. She's being telepathic. It's not condescending. She's giving you good advice, telling you where the path is. It's helpful and story enriching, and it's only doing so to the less experienced player. So if you were an advanced player with razor sharp intuition who made a beeline straight for the entrance on your first try, you would
never even see this.
You wouldn't get this story enrichment. However, you would feel cool for finding your way into the castle. So this is the game very thoughtfully providing story enrichment to a player who otherwise might not be, blazing through the game. So I find that interesting. It kind of knows where to pump the balance a little bit. Oh, and now we're going to go into the castle. Or are we? You're not allowed in the castle, son. Wait. Is this Link's dad? Is this your uncle?
This could possibly be your father right there.
Is this your uncle's brother?
This would actually explain a lot,
Link's dad is a guard who has a large shield and no sword. Is he Goofy from Kingdom Hearts? Oh, no. Man, are you excited about Kingdom Hearts 3?
No, I'm not a Kingdom Hearts fan. I gotta be honest. Like, never did it for me.
I'm going to E3 2018 next week, and I'm going to be checking out Kingdom Hearts 3. So keep it locked to this channel. I bet you can't wait until you are old enough to use a sword.
That's see, I really like that right there because they're showing you're gonna get a sword.
This police officer with sanctimoniously proper grammar. I'll bet. If only he said, I would bet. I will bet. You cannot wait until you are old enough to use a sword. Press the B button to use... Oh, this is good. Press the B button to use your sword when you get it. That owns. It's telling you you're going to have a thing, right? So again, I just love to point out, it's hypothesizing that a wanderer might need a little bit of help. So if you've wandered over here and talked to these people, you're looking in the wrong place for the path forward, right? Mm-hmm. So the game, why not give you a little bit of advice, like how to use the sword when you get it, to plant a seed in your head. So it's giving you a little bit of advice, but it's also enhancing and enriching the less experienced player's perception of the world by being like, I bet you can't wait till you're old enough. So again, it's enforcing the fact that you're younger. This tutorial is so good, right? So here's another example. I love this as well. I just love pointing this stuff out. So chances are, if we wandered over here, we'd also already wandered over to talk to the guard who told us how to lift stuff, phrasing it as a challenge. Remember, he was like, oh, how much can you lift? You look strong for a kid. So so maybe we're trying to lift this. So it's a sublime example of showing the player something they can't do yet. So I think that's kind of pristine and very thoughtful. And later Zelda games would kind of become all about, a fairy character who jumps out of your backpack and tells you to look at something, right? Like, they literally put a character in your backpack who just jumps out and yells at stuff.
I also like this beautiful rock pathway that leads you to this wonderful bush, which is surrounded by rocks, which couldn't be a special bush at all.
Yeah, exactly. If you're completely clueless at the game, you've talked to all those guards, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe you've missed the treasure chest that was inside the house. So you've definitely learned. And the tutorial tip, how to pick up a shrub, is available for you. It's unlimited. You can go back and talk to that guy 100 times, and he'll always tell you how to lift a shrub. So you can lift shrubs, and they show you this weird-looking shrub. And it's beautiful. And you're going to do what 99 out of 100 players would do, which is lift the shrub and fall in. So here's Link in the basement. Hi. I didn't want you involved in this. All right, dude. Take my sword and shield and listen. Wait, take his listen? You can focus power on the B button, then release it using the secret technique handed down by our people. Hi, you can do it. Save the princess. Please save Zelda. So that's the secret technique handed down by the people, is the spin slash.
Before we move on, though, I want to talk about a few things. Like, our uncle, he got injured in the fall down here, right? Because otherwise he would be in the next room. There's nobody in here fighting him.
Yeah.
Unless he vanquishes foes and then is taking a break. I'm not sure. But.
We do know that in the world of Hyrule, the guards
they disappear.
Cops disintegrate in Hyrule. Right? There's something in whatever they're eating. They disintegrate upon death. I assume it's sanitary. So he's dead. So if you go into the next room and then you come back, is he still there?
Yeah, he's always there. He's just hanging out.
You don't get too many opportunities to go down and hang out with him some more.
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm pointing out here that we didn't have that. You just walk right in that guy. We didn't get the lamp. So they put the lamp here. How thoughtful, right? Mm-hmm. However, given how much this game is presuming that we might have forgotten something, right? Like, they've got to be prepared for the fact that you're not going to even see the chest there. Because, there you go. He's still owned, even if you get the lantern. It's 5 rupees. So, I just want to point out that for some reason Link to the Past does not tell you that the blue rupee in this chest is worth 5 rupees.
Well, I think you can look at the little rupee counter up top and see the number 5.
Watch the number tick up. But later games in the series are going to fix this, of course, which is, I guess they figured they should. I kind of appreciate this opportunity to kind of investigate the Legend of Zelda game's whole idea of tutorials. Oh, we're going to speed you back there. I was going to cut this out, but I thought it was fun. Look at that. This is just exactly how much of the game we've done so far.
Yeah, I was using the hot speedrun strats right there.
Which is speed the video up. So we're going to not get that treasure because the game so clearly guides you straight down. It's the geometry of it is sublime. It's like, just go down this way, man. So, I mean, you can be forgiven for not seeing that treasure chest. Now we're out.
Yeah, and that's also like another example of what it's teaching you, that some things are optional. You know, not all treasure chests are important.
Not all of them. But you probably, if you're like me, you know, which is a big boy eating a punch bowl of macaroni and cheese for dinner, after playing this game, you're going to want all the treasure chests, right? I mean, you're going to want them all. Are those hearts in the road path?
No, they are hearts in the road path.
Like, that's... I just gotta say, that's pretty darn cute.
It's a nice detail.
Yeah, it's really nice. I really love all the tiles in these games. I love the bricks in the walls. I love this bizarre camera projection. Isn't it weird how you can see the sides of every wall? It's a nice throwback to the original Zelda. So you're gonna demonstrate to us here the fact that the palace is very symmetrical. You're just, like, these guys, they're just chilling.
I mean, they have a sense of hearing and a sense of sight, but neither one of them are that great, I would say. It's heavy armor that they're wearing.
They don't have any, they don't have a work ethic to back up that heavy armor. Oh, he's coming.
Not much peripheral vision.
So they have these, there's the little skinny guys, and then there's, like, the big beefy guys. The little skinny guys don't seem to care about anything.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, there's two ways to this stairwell. It's left and right. Any door you go in is going to take you to the place you're supposed to go. So you have a choice. Go left or go right. Either one of them is going to take you down here. So we get an opportunity to name drop John Romero here, who once said, "Symmetry is boring." Right? And it is. However, it's very good for the sake of this Zelda tutorial. So the first time you played, you were saying you wandered around and talked to everybody. Did you go down these stairs right away, or did you investigate the other path?
No, investigated the rest. I always feel like going. What do I want to say? I don't want to go to new rooms.
Yeah.
You know, until I've investigated everything that I can investigate. You know, and when you go downstairs, I feel like that's a significant change. Whereas if you're exploring the upper castle area where the stairs, you know, are like those short stair sets, it's a little bit, it feels safer, you know, and you don't want to miss anything. So yeah. I definitely explored my first time. Yeah.
So I feel like this is something that modern game designers know that players have a tendency to do this, right? If you need only look at like a modern FPS to see the way the levels are constructed. And it becomes like an ethical concern of game designers where they've started to. I remember Final Fantasy 13 was like the first example I can remember where the path is very linear, and the game doesn't want to waste the player's time because it has a lot of long cutscenes to dispense with. So there'll be a path off to the side, and you'll say, you'll know that it's not the right path. And then you go down it and are very quickly awarded with a treasure chest. And then you go, yay, I got my thing. And you turn around and you're back on the highway. You know, like not a minute later. Not a minute later, you've got your Diet Dr. Pepper. You've used the bathroom and you're back on the highway. Right? That's my gas station analogy. So now it's just every little thing divergence from the path in a game that's not like an open world game is like a gas station. It's a pit stop. So here it's just this big kind of naturalistic space. It feels much like a castle. It feels much like the sort of place that it looks like it is. So, like, I definitely did not want to go down those stairs the first time I played it too. I made sure I'd looked at everything outside. Because as good as the game is at guiding you toward those stairs, it's also as good at communicating that that's the next zone. and that anything you didn't encounter here in the previous zone you've missed, and that maybe you want to go back and hang out with it.
Yeah, and I think it's especially true here early because you don't really, if you don't know Zelda at this point, you don't know you're going to be backtracking in a lot of these places. So you don't want to miss anything.
Yeah. You want to have as much fun as possible.
Exactly.
Now you get to go back outside up onto the roof of the castle. I like this. So it's showing us something we can't do until much, much later, right? Which is, you're not going to be able to get in here. This is the castle tower, which is like low-key, like a super good action game level when you actually get in there.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's kind of like a mini gauntlet of rooms. And the enemies, I would say it's like a very big difficulty spike once you go into this area as well.
Yeah, but you've got the Master Sword and you feel like tough as heck.
It's also the first thing you do after you start to feel kind of badass.
And you have the ability to shoot the beams from the sword, and you feel super strong and tough. And should you have possessed an inquisitive nature upon first encountering the prologue of the game, you would have seen this, so that you it feels like you're getting revenge on it when you break in there later. Like you're really just busting in. So you're going to demonstrate that if you touch it, Link does a little hurt animation, but they don't give you damage.
Yeah, that's actually a really huge part. You can just smack it as many times as you want.
But it communicates very clearly to the player that Link he's a baby. You know, he's a baby idiot, and he can't get in there until he grows up and gets tough.
It's definitely one of those moments, too. It's significant because that'll stand out in your mind. You'll remember that moment as you're playing through the rest of the game. Like, I'm coming back here at some point.
Yeah, that weird shimmering wizard lightning on the roof, you know? Wizard lightning on the roof.
I don't think that's going to be a throwaway wizard lightning.
Yeah, that's no garden variety wizard lightning shimmers on that roof. Okay, so now we're back in the middle. So it's very hard to go the wrong way here. However, it does not feel hideously linear. That's good design. I just want to shout out Chevy Ray for doing this font. Love Bug, it's called. There's no TM in your font, buddy. Just letting you know. So it looks like that. There doesn't have to be. So let's get down to business now. You're gonna go down and rescue this princess. Is that what you're gonna do? That's
the plan now. There's nowhere else to go but down.
So when you were a kid, did you think you were actually going to get away with rescuing the princess in this dungeon?
I think that's one of the cool parts about this early game, especially if you played the previous Zelda games. You knew they were all about rescuing the princess.
Yeah.
And this one actually starts off with you rescuing the princess, which is a big divergence, but also kind of exciting because it feels like the stakes get upped a bit after she's rescued and the game goes on.
Yeah, the game goes on and it develops this storytelling that we haven't really encountered in Zelda before. This was like a big deal.
Up to this point, yeah.
We hadn't had cinematic storytelling in a Zelda. So I love this room. So the game does a whole lot with these little tiny kill box rooms, you know? So you're in like a tiny little room and the game is like brute forcing you some information in a tiny room. And I love that. So it's like you're in a tiny room now with stairs that are up, and you know you just went down some stairs. And a treasure box, a dude, and then a door with a very, very clearly visible keyhole. This is the first keyhole you see, right, in the whole game. So it's the first keyhole. If you've played a Zelda before, you know that you need keys. However, this game is very welcoming to somebody who's never played one of the first two Zeldas, which were, I guess I should point out that the first two Zeldas in Japan were kind of cult games. They weren't like super duper famous.
Yeah, Zelda games even to this day aren't the biggest series in Japan.
No,
I would say. It's not like it is here.
Yeah, it's odd. You know, here, I mean, I honestly believe that they're just the best games in terms of
it's my favorite series.
In terms of the work that goes into them, the craft of them. They're like the best made video games. However, they don't get a super lot of recognition in Japan, so that's interesting. So here's the very first thing. this game is going to teach you how keys work and that enemies sometimes have keys. And the
treasure chests. Yeah.
And the treasure chest, which we have been presented treasure chests before. We've not yet been forced to open a treasure chest. So, where's the first treasure chest you're forced to open?
Well, this one would be one you need. You absolutely need this one. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's find out.
This would be the first one.
So this guy dies. There's a key. And you get that key. Take it. So this is the map. Wait, do you need the map?
No, that's a map. No, you don't need the map.
Yeah, you don't need the map.
No, this isn't one you need.
Well, look at that.
Why did I think this one had a key?
Look at this beautiful dungeon. So it doesn't... So the game has not really tutorialized you about the... Look at that. You just walk right past that guy. So you're a consummate professional. I, however, will not die hungry. Let's see how differently I would have done this room. Here we go. This is me. In the flesh. That was hilarious.
It was fun. It's great.
You know,
I think that's what this little area is all about, actually, is kind of showing you there's multiple ways to kill enemies, because you've just killed one with your sword. Now you can knock them off. They gave you pots to kill one.
It teaches you that you can throw pots, and that pots are hilarious. So on the way through this room, you just kind of speed run through this room here, as you were saying earlier, right? You just like you just carve this perfect path, like the way their orbit is set up, the way
the instincts kicked in here.
Yeah, it's just you carve through this path. However, I paused it right here so we can notice. We've come through down a couple of walkways, and if we go back through the previous room, let's go back through here, hold on. You'll see, oh, that was me saying that. You'll see this ledge right here, right? This little ledge here on the left. I just pointed at and touched my screen, even though you're not here. I said, this one right here. So these little ledges here that you're going to be able to get up there. So when you first see that, you're like, how do I get up there? And you're going to get down there, or you're going to get up there later. So here we go. So that's both of these stairs. These stairs were inaccessible to you until you were at this point in the room. So if for some reason right now your heart became overcome with trepidation at meeting with the princess and you decided to go back, you would be able to take either of these stairs and see where they go. So the first time you played, here's my question to you. The first time, if you can think back to the first time you played Zelda, Link to the Past, did you go up these stairs, or did you continue along the path?
100% went up these stairs.
You went up the stairs?
But yeah, I mean, they do lead back to the beginning, so you realize that's not the way to go.
Yeah, you realize what it is. So, okay, now, here's my question number 2. Which one of these stairs did you go up?
The first one.
You went up the first one?
Set.
Yeah,
so the first one, then the top of the screen.
So I recall vividly what I did, because I brought this game back to my house from the Glen Burnie Mall in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And it was...
Twice Glen Burnie gets a shout out, right?
Yeah, we're going to keep shouting out that beautiful town of Glen Burnie. It was not raining when I got in the car. However, it was raining by the time we got home. So it's like rain is pelting on the roof of our house. And I remember walking to the second stairs, and while walking there, I noticed that the walkway was connected to the first stairs. Because you can see it, right? You can see that it's an unbroken walkway. So I walked to those stairs, I'd killed both guards, I went back and walked up, and then went back and experienced, oh, there's meaningful backtracking here, right? I went back and I didn't phrase it as meaningful backtracking. I'd yet to hang out on a video game forum at that point, because they did not exist. So now we have another little tiny room, and the game is showing us 2 closed doors, 1 locked door, and 1 guard. So the game is going to try to start teaching us how to be curious, which is a very interesting instinct to hone in a player in a game like this. So that's how a pro would do it, which is just walk in with the sword loaded up. So here's how a noob or a scrub might do it. It's like, oh, can I open the door, please? And then get hit. And then, there you go. So the game has now taught the player that sometimes killing enemies opens doors, right?
Yep.
So
there's nowhere else to go. Murder. So
what the game has done is it's fully planted the seed of all Zelda puzzle solutions, which is do what you can when you can. So you're in a room. What can you do? There's a locked door, yet you have no key, so you can't open it. There are 2 sealed doors. You can't open those. What's the one thing you can do? Kill. So that's what you do. And that opens the door. And then you go, oh, maybe I should do what I can when I can. I love how important this room looks. So, following from the logic of that previous room, the solution to this room, thus, may come as a reflex to even the first-time player. I gotta kill that dude. Right? So
yeah, you know immediately. Door behind you shut. Nowhere else to go.
Yeah, I gotta kill that monster freak. I gotta own that cop. Did you call them cops when you were a kid?
I think I just called. I always wondered. I didn't really understand. I think as a kid that, like, why the guards were against you if you were saving the princess. Like that was something that I always really didn't understand until much older when I finally realized that the wizard was controlling the king. Like there was like this whole thing where I didn't really get that the wizard was controlling the king, and because you never see the king.
No.
You know? You never actually see him. He's just kind of out there barking orders and under mind control.
Yeah.
So,
and he's being controlled by the evil wizard who's sort of Ganon.
Yeah.
And there's just many cops.
And they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
The place is crawling with cops.
Yeah, people. Yeah, I mean, later on, you straight up get framed at some point. And everyone hates you in a village. Like
you get framed for punking Zelda or whatever.
You feel like the bad guy for the first part of this game, at least.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a complicated feeling coming from the earlier Zeldas. So you've just gotten a boomerang, right? So this is the ultimate conundrum here. The game has surrounded this treasure box with these statues, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like this is the first treasure chest they really want you to open, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if you don't open this? What if you don't get the boomerang? That's just a thing.
The good news is that you don't need the boomerang. The boomerang is a completely inconsequential item. It is only there to make your quest easier.
Yeah.
And
so more fun.
And more fun. You could skip this, but there is also a red boomerang that comes later.
Yeah.
That you could acquire, and so you still wouldn't be missing out on a boomerang. But yeah, this is an inconsequential item. But I think more so this just shows you there's items, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's items that mean a lot.
Mm-hmm. And it wants to give you an item in your, because at this point you can't use your lamp in your item box menu.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any magic.
Yeah, so notice the usage of multiple vestibular rooms to pace out the significance of Zelda's dungeon cell. So we have this one vestibule, B2. Now we go down one deeper floor. This is how you create drama. It's like a super elementary example of creating drama with level design. So that's AAA as heck. And, in this old pixel art game. So there's you. You're a pro. You don't really care about taking damage because you know what you have to win and you know what you have to lose here. So that's not how I would do this, though. Let's pause here. The big key. The master key of the dungeon. It can open many locks that small keys cannot. So the game presents you the big key. Just gives it to you for killing the one guy who clearly that guy is important. So that's how you would do it. Here's how I would do it, which is because big punch bowl of macaroni and cheese. Will not die hungry. I love having fun. This is what I do. I've killed this guy this way every time I've ever played this game except the first time.
Yo, we do this in randomizer often. We just kill him with the pots.
Yeah, that was hilarious. So the pots rule. They're like the secret, best weapon to use for the first whole dungeon. Thank you, Hi. Hi, listen carefully. The wizard is an inhuman fiend with strong magical powers. Do you understand? Which part, the inhuman or the strong?
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
Finally, I get it. Finally, I understand now.
Let's get out of here before the wizard notices. I'm pretty sure he's already noticed, given what you just said, that I agreed I understood. Right? Come on. Oh, so this is interesting. Remember, we didn't get that. Didn't get the lantern. Guess what's in the box? Let's find out what's in the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? Kaboom! It's
and
the
that's
lantern.
huge because you need the lantern to do the next section and the rest of the game because there's a lot of dark rooms.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they give you 3 opportunities to get the lantern
Even so, you don't have to get it.
I mean, you could technically skip it and do everything in dark rooms, but
Is there another way to get the lantern if you don't get it there? I honestly don't know because
I think that's the last opportunity to get the lantern.
when I played Zelda as a kid, I was a big baby. Oh, yeah. And, I would make sure I did everything correctly in accordance with the plot of the game. So now we're back on these beautiful stairs. These were inaccessible to us on our first trip to the dungeon. So I consider this, taking Zelda back, the exact moment the game begins using environment design to actively encourage an inquisitive playstyle. So up until, say, Breath of the Wild, Zelda games were not open world, right? Not by a long shot. Not by a hook shot were they open world games. However, they always encourage curiosity and an inquisitive playstyle and poking around and trying to do something slightly differently and backtracking in a meaningful way. So right here in the game, it's showing you stairs. You've seen stairs a bunch of times already. So now you're just you're naturally curious. And you get to walk there and what like a power trip that is, right? To walk past here and see that you're sneaking past guards. That just felt really cool. So when you first played this game, is this how you got Zelda out?
Yeah.
So you went along the catwalks.
Yeah, the easy way. Yeah, the catwalks.
Yeah, the easy way, but it's the easy way, but it also feels like the story way, It feels like this is what you would do. This is...
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to hide Zelda at this point, too, so it makes sense. And I really love, too, how this guard... I feel like this is intentional, but this guard is always over there on the right, turned his back to you.
This
you just kind of cruise out.
This man, he's taken to long ponderances of the abyss, and I will not die hungry. So
what kind of dungeon is this that just has bottomless pits?
Let's see how I would have done this. That was hilarious, right? So that's how I would have done it. You leave him there. You are kinder than I am to that guy. So Zelda's not going to give us any tutorial advice until we have finished traversing backward through familiar areas. In other words, she won't tell us where to go until we reach the point where we could make a mistake. I find that very interesting. So it's only in this room here. Well, I guess, yeah. Any exit from this room, she'll tell us that there's a secret passage in the throne room that leads to Sanctuary. So, Sanctuary, the general noun, however, also capitalized.
That's what it says. It leads to Sanctuary, but it is also called the Sanctuary, the place that it leads to, just for the record. So,
just for the record. Oh, you walk. This is the screenshot that was on the back of the Super Nintendo, and it was on the back of the box. Was this beautiful pink floor and these two guys in this purplish blue armor? You can cut those. The ornamental shelf should open. So, do you have a light? So she's reminding us about the lamp. So despite giving us multiple opportunities to obtain the lamp, we don't actually need it to finish this part. So, wait a minute. Wouldn't it just be in your house if you get all the way through here and you don't have it?
I think it would be in any of the 3 spots at that point. It could be in any 3 spots.
And then it would be a blue rupee in the other 2.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to...
These dark rooms are a pain.
I kind of want to load up a fresh save and bumble in darkness through these dark rooms.
There's maps. I mean, there's maps to do it.
I think I could do it. I think I could do it.
Oh, now I'm kind of curious, though. I mean, I'm willing to bet it would just be in Link's house. I'm willing to bet it'd be in any 3 of the...
Yeah.
the chest, then it wouldn't matter which one you opened up.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, if you just went back to any of the chests,
Yeah, I'm willing to bet, like, in the coding, it's just like, do you have lamp? That's what it checks for. Does player have lamp?
player has lamp, yes, no.
Yeah.
So you know your way around, and I notice you don't light any of the lanterns. You just use the lanterns or the torches. You don't light any of those. You just.
Well, I don't have any magic.
Yeah. Oh well, you can find
So
some.
I can't light any.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, but you don't light any even when you get some.
I don't think we find magic at any point.
Oh well, let's find out. Yeah, it's so weird that you get this lantern and then you don't actually have the ability to use it because you need.
Yeah.
Little tiny.
Well, the
things.
lantern, yeah. I mean, it also provides that light that's being shown.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh yeah, that beautiful, beautiful light. So there's magic in there.
Oh, there's magic. Never mind. I did get magic. I'm a liar.
You get some. Yeah. So this room is hard for the first timer, unless they light some of the lanterns. So let's see what this looks like. I went ahead and lit some. This was actually a playthrough that I recorded.
Appreciated that.
I recorded this before seniors. So you enter the room, immediately snakes attack in a narrow corridor. I got hit by one because I'm an idiot. And I'll never live that down. So you come upon this cross-shaped intersection, which is like just confusing enough in the dark. But it looks like you're overwhelmed with the choices. So going left is the wrong way. But if you go the wrong way, you come upon a torch, which you can then light with your lantern. So now it's considerably easier to find the key. Kaboom. And if you light one of those, and it's even brighter. We don't light all three because that's what true scrubs do. Right? You only light two of them. So I've got myself playing down there in a little bubble. So you get to see me light up some of these. Just, you get a little bit of a comparison of the playstyles. So there's kind of a lot going on in this room. The first time you play, you're going to just poke around. And you've already learned, why do I have so much magic and you don't?
I don't know. You got good drops, I guess. The enemies you killed were more efficient than the enemies I killed. I mean, the drops are random at first, so.
Yeah. Oh, so in this room, one of the rats has the key, and you kill that rat very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably not a good example of first-time play.
Yeah.
But this is a room where you go in and immediately, like you're looking for a key.
So what if we did that again? So the light from the previous room actually carries over here, so you can see. And you can see that there's another lantern. And should I light it? Yeah, let's light it. And then you can see that there's a locked door when you first get into this room. Man, and now it's the final rat who has the cheese.
The final rat.
Oh, look, the room is all perfectly lit. Oh, no, it's...
And I think that's probably that's a good example of what you would do in that room in the first play, you know?
Yeah, except maybe you'd get hit a lot more. So that's through the whole darkness segment, the whole darkness section, which is not... Well, they do play with darkness later in the game. However, they're not quite as... the design isn't quite as structured as it is in those rooms. Like, it's very clean. Like, that cross-shaped room that you walk into is, like... It's a very clean design. If you go the wrong way, you get an opportunity to make it easier to find the right way. Like, that's just very, very sublime and thoughtful. So when you first get in this room, having just come out of the relative dark, the player's eyes rejoice with such enthusiasm at the light that it is ridiculous to presume anyone wouldn't think that wall on the left side of the screen looks weird. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's that wall right away looks strange. And it's definitely something you're going to want to explore at some point.
And it's, if you've played a previous Zelda, you know that's probably bombs. That's actually, you can dash at that. You don't even need bombs.
Yeah, the ones with circles you can dash at.
Yeah. So it's like, that's a very weak wall. Previous Zelda games, you weren't given hints like that. This is a kinder, gentler Zelda. So it's like, that looks weird. But if you've never played a Zelda, you know that's weird. And here you are, tapping it with your sword, demonstrating that it makes a different sound. Gotta love it.
Which I think is also a huge little thing, that when you tap your sword against a wall, it's kind of like a hollow sound.
Yeah. It's
it's like such a subtle, small little detail, especially for 1991.
yeah.
That it makes such a world of difference.
It's such an Indiana Jones kind of feeling.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like you're on an adventure. So I love this first block pushing puzzle that you encounter where there's just no wrong solution. Well, you can push. Can you push that block on the right to the right? I guess you can. No, you can't.
No, there's only one block that pushes.
So that's yeah, and it's that one that's up there. That's kind of dirty to me. I feel like it's like why are some blocks pushable and some aren't? So for every user,
I think mostly it's just they don't want to get you soft locked in a bad way.
Oh yeah, you definitely don't want the player to get stuck. Oh, so now you're in the back room of a church, which, as we know, is full of rats. I don't want to hate on churches. So right now, this is beautiful to me. The game is.
I love this part.
Yeah, the game is straight up messing with you. Game designers love playing with philosophical paradoxes, though seldom so cold-bloodedly as this. And I note to self say something about the Japanese version. So in the Japanese version, she says, "Pull the switch over there," like "asoko no switchi," right? Like pull the switch over there, and that is using the third person over there. So meaning not the one by her, not the one by you, but the one by anything else. So the Japanese is like even vaguer somehow than this. So it's like pull the switch over there. Which one? So there is a philosophical paradox about a donkey and 2 bales of hay. That everybody probably knows that one. The donkey dying of starvation. So this is interesting. She gives you a tutorial here. She tells you which one to pull, right? But only if you go over to the right one? Is that what you're illustrating here?
Yeah, if you go over to the left one.
Pull that switch over there. She doesn't say anything.
Exactly.
So that would have been prime time for her to say, no, not this one.
She leaves that part out, though.
So I don't really understand why is the game giving you a tutorial here, right? She only tutorializes you if you go to the correct lever, even if you go straight for it. So it's like, why? That seems kind of out of tune with the rest of this tutorial. Only helping you if you're like about to do the right thing.
This one right here, I want to point out, if you hold right out of the door, she doesn't even tell you to go to the switch.
That's interesting.
The game knows you already know that.
That's man, why do you think that is?
I'm assuming, well, we use it in speedruns, obviously, to skip text box, but I'm assuming it's just because the game wants to encourage replays, like Zelda games, or obviously they want you to play them probably more than once at this point in time, in 1991. So I think it's just one of those little things to make this early tutorial section go a little bit faster for skilled players. That's just my hypothesis on that. It could just be like, just doesn't trigger until you're one step out.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Yeah, it's a curious thing that that she wouldn't say it there.
Mm-hmm.
But but then she still tells you to pull.
She still tells you to pull the lever, though.
She still tells you.
Well, that's to confirm you're on the right lever.
Yeah, she still lets you know. I will hide Princess Zelda here. Do you understand? I would, So, this is the moment of truth here. A precious item is here for the taking on this screen. If the game has done a good job accommodating new players up to this point, they'll walk over and take it instinctually. It's that treasure box. It's a precious item. It's a big, beautiful, beefy, precious item. It's a heart container.
The best.
That's the item you want the most of.
That's the reward.
And that's it. You're outside. And look at that big, beautiful map. Now it's lit up. It's in brightness. You have an X marking the spot of where you're supposed to go. You can go anywhere you want. You can go right toward stumbling into adventure, or you can go left on the story path. It's enough. It's not too much. It felt like a true adventure. Can you Can you recall the feeling you felt when you first came out here?
I mean, it kind of feels like. I mean, this sounds weird because I don't want to compare it to a later Zelda, but like that first moment of Breath of the Wild where you leave and you think, wow, this world's so big and huge.
Yeah.
And you don't really know where to go. Like this had that feeling in 1991, you know, this very first section, once you got out from saving Zelda. You also felt really confused because if you played previous Zeldas, you knew the point was to save the princess. Well, you just did that.
Yeah.
So now what am I doing now? You know what I mean?
She's safe. She's hanging out at church, you know.
Not spoiler alert, not for long, but
oh yeah, she's gonna get grabbed and taken into the wizard's tower later. Spoilers. However, she's safe in there, and you've got to now unravel some sort of mystery plot with like text boxes, like a story. So, but you get out here, and it's because of how restricted the game had been before. You knew that you could just sense that you were close to a dungeon, like that you were close to an objective in that first part of the game. And now that you're out here, this is a full vertical slice of the game. You've now gotten a little bit of all the stuff, and you're out in the world, and you can go anywhere you want to go within reason. Here's this punk. What? Oh, this is me playing here. I played a little bit. I did this experiment. I tried to kill 100 enemies as quickly as I could for my Hyrule Warriors video to illustrate how much more quickly you kill enemies in a Dynasty Warriors game. It was a bad joke, but I had a good time with it.
But yeah, I mean, it's to me, Link to the Past is the first or the best like 10 minutes, first 10 minutes of nearly any game that I can ever think of, and it also illustrates something that I think is kind of lost in some games sometimes, whereas the tutorial should be inside the game. Like you should have the player playing the game while feeding them the tutorial instead of having these silly like, oh, press X to do this, now practice it over and over again. No, you should create situations for the player to practice it.
Yeah.
And I think Nintendo is really great at that, and but this game especially really shows how awesome that is.
I think the whole part with the guards just stationed around blocking the road there. It's on a rainy, stormy night of some weirdness happening at the castle. The hero called to adventure, cops blocking the road, them asking you how much you can lift because you look like a strong kid. Like, that's just really, really smooth, in my opinion. And then putting you through that mini dungeon, which has elements. It teaches you sometimes killing enemies opens doors, sometimes enemies have keys. It teaches you all that stuff very quickly. It teaches you the elements of meaningful backtracking, of traversing back through an area the easier way, which was not available the first way through. It's very clean, and it's very good. And that's what makes it a grade A vertical slice. A delicious, hot, piping, tasty vertical slice of a video game right there.
And it really is, because it's literally what you do the rest of the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's slightly bigger later, though.
Yeah.
It's like the Eastern Palace. So I guess the one element of vertical sliciness that is not contained in there is the Overworld Exploration. Well, it's sort of contained in there. There's like a tiny slice of Overworld where you're talking. You talk, if you count talking to the guards and talking to your uncle. So now you're going to talk to a couple more guys, and you're going to go to the village and talk to somebody, then you got to go talk to the elder, and then you got to go into the first dungeon. So it's like the overworld story stuff that happens before you go into the dungeon. But right now, there's the free stuff, just free wandering that you can do while doing the story stuff before going into a dungeon. It's a very nicely layered video game. I love that Eastern Palace. That's a really good level to watch somebody play for the first time. If you've ever had the opportunity to sit a person down who's never played a video game before and make them play a video game, that's a really good piece of video game. Like from here up to the end of the Eastern Palace. That is perhaps a topic for another time, though. I believe that's all we have time for today. I didn't mean to say that in like a TV host voice.
It was great.
I had a good time. Did you have a good time?
I had the best time. I could talk about this game for hours and hours.
Oh yeah.
So this was really great to dive deep into how well made these first 10 minutes are.
Just this tiny little segment of the game. We should do this about another video game someday.
I would love that.
Just any 10-minute piece of a video game. Let us know in the comments if you like a video game. Do you have an idea? We should do one of these for every level in Super Mario Bros. 3. Let us know.
Oh god, I could totally do that. There's so many beautiful levels and so many really bad levels as well in Mario 3.
Oh
yeah. Which is part of the reason I love it.
You know, there's every year on my birthday, I play Super Mario Bros. 3. And my birthday is Thursday.
Oh.
My birthday is Thursday. That's this.
Well, happy birthday. Happy early birthday.
Oh, thanks. Maybe I'll play Super Mario Bros. 3 on a stream on my birthday. I don't want to promise anybody that, though. Anyway, I believe that's all we have time for. Thanks for hanging out, GrandPOOBear. Everybody follow him on the internets and watch his videos. And you can watch mine, too, if you want. If anybody wants to watch mine. They're on this channel that you're watching right now.
This ending got awkward.
Wait, let's watch my link here. Obtain the 100th rupee. And then we'll close it out. Come on, get that 100th rupee. Get it. There it is.